Buddhism versus quantum physics. Today, we're diving deep into the captivating realms of Buddhism and quantum physics. These two seemingly different paths of understanding the universe have more in common than you might think. So, buckle up and let's explore the intriguing connection between Buddhism and quantum physics. Buddhism, with its emphasis on mindfulness and inner peace, offers profound insights into the nature of reality. Similarly, quantum physics, the branch of science that delves into the tiny building blocks of the universe, challenges our conventional views of reality. But how do these two seemingly disparate philosophies intersect? Quantum physics and the nature of reality. Over the last century, research has begun to bridge the gap between scientific and spiritual understandings of the nature of reality. This is most clearly observed between the teachings of Buddhism and the scientific discoveries of quantum physics. According to Buddhists, everything you see, hear, touch, think, or taste in this instant comes from the empty ground of endless potentiality. We will study what this base of nothingness is and how the apparent universe and ourselves emerge from it. Two examples will help us start, as explained by spiritual traditions and scientific discoveries in quantum physics. You might have a dream in which a gorilla is chasing you. Everything feels very real and you are terrified, but when the dream ends, you wake up happy and fearless, realizing that it was all just a dream in which you and the gorilla were created by and vanished back into the dream consciousness. Nothing in the dream was real, but the dream itself, in a sense, consciousness was real. It was the actual potential foundation upon which the dream could not arise. Another example is a blank piece of paper. Although it says nothing, it represents endless potential because a limitless number of languages, thoughts, stories, and other expressions can be written on it. Therefore, it is possible to think of emptiness as an endless field of potential that is, in a sense, more real than everything that arises from or appears on it. In order to comprehend the striking parallels between this concept of emptiness and the quantum field in quantum physics, we must first investigate the materiality of the universe from a quantum perspective. We discover that matter exists in two forms: particles and waves. According to quantum physics, the wave form of materiality is extremely strange because it has no fixed location in time or space. Rather, it is understood to be everywhere at once and to be spread out throughout the entire universe. To better understand this, consider the following scenario. You hold an orange in your hand. In its particle form, the orange is locatable in time or space, but in its wave form, it is spread out in an infinite number of possible states throughout the entire universe. In this world, the orange particle is real, but the orange wave is pure potentiality. How is this possible? According to our standard understanding of reality, it is completely impossible for something that appears to be in one place at one time to also exist everywhere at once. Nevertheless, scientists studying quantum physics have thousands upon thousands of times verified the existence of particles or waves through an experiment called the double-slit experiment. We will go into more detail about this experiment in a moment, but when the results were revealed, the scientific community was shocked to its core. The most profoundly shocking discovery was that a double-slit experiment demonstrated that materiality consisted of both waves that were everywhere at once and particles located in space and time, and that human consciousness determined whether the waves or particles appeared. How does this relate to emptiness? The fact that atoms are 99.12 times more likely to be empty space than anything else forces us to re-evaluate not only the nature of reality, but also our own reality. After all, if reality is nothing more than empty space, then what does it mean? Consequently, if I am merely empty space, why does reality feel so solidly situated and genuine? The feeling of solidity is caused by an unknown repulsive force between atoms, according to quantum physicists. This force is like magnets pushing away from each other when two of the same sides are put together, so you never really touch anything solid. Instead, it is this repulsive force that creates the illusion that you are touching something solid. For example, when you sit in a chair, you are not actually touching the chair. Rather, the atoms in your body and the chair's atoms are repelling one another, and you are actually experiencing repulsion. The particles that make up these atoms arise from what quantum scientists call a quantum field. The particles are not different from the field, but are in fact part of it, much like waves are to the ocean. You are constantly experiencing forms of energy. You never experience anything solid. It is this mysterious, repulsive force that gives you the completely deceptive feeling that you are experiencing not emptiness, but something solid and real. There is a similar idea in Buddhism called dependent arising, or practice, which states that everything is interconnected and that the idea that there are independent existing objects in the world is an illusion. The quantum field is outside of our perception, but remains as the pure potentiality for matter. All matter arises from this field and falls back into it. The field itself is spread across all space and time. The quantum field is the very ground from which every atom, all matter, the universe, and our very selves arise from and fall back into. Two particles are considered entangled when they start to affect each other in a specific way. However, once these particles have developed this relationship of entanglement, any changes made to one of the particles will reflect these changes, whether across the room or across the universe. You can think of entanglement in this way. Imagine that you and a friend are holding basketballs, and with those basketballs, we are entangled like particles that can be each other's. All matter in the universe was compressed into an infinitely small point at the moment of the Big Bang, meaning that all particles in the universe are ultimately entangled particles. It is evident from this that quantum entanglement points to a profound oneness of all existence. But where does the mind and human consciousness fit into all of this? A basketball would reflect what happened to the other basketball regardless of how far away they were from each other. It could be 2 meters or thousands of light years. The world is not outside our minds. Rather, it is created by them. According to Buddhism and many other religious traditions, the mind is the source of reality. It is not just a part of reality, but also the very thing that creates what we take to be reality, much like scary gorillas and worlds can be created in our dreaming states. 2,500 years after the Buddha taught this basic lesson, quantum physics has also come to the same conclusion. Our apparent reality is generated by our brains. Werner Heisenberg, a quantum physicist, was the first to recognize that the act of observing electrons itself had an impact on their positions in space and time. She named this phenomenon the uncertainty principle and continued, stating that reality is defined by the mind that is observing, not by the nature we are seeing. End quote. This indicates that there is nothing wrong with the scientific method. Rather, it highlights the dreamlike nature of the quantum particles that comprise our universe and how human consciousness influenced them. This is demonstrated by the double slit experiment, which was previously mentioned. In this experiment, 2 lead slits are used to fire quantum particles. When the particles are observed, they form patterns and appear as particles. However, when they are not observed, they appear as waves. In other words, when the particles are observed, they appear as discrete finite possibilities that can be located in time and space, or as particles. However, when they are not observed, they appear as infinite potentiality or non-locatable in time and space, which is waves, regardless of whether we are quantum physicists or Buddhists. As a result, and to put it simply, 1. The radical nature of reality is emptiness or pure potentiality, and 2. The world of apparent reality as it appears to us, is merely a projection of our minds or human consciousness. This is the nature of reality, according to quantum physics. We can only conclude this. Prior to the mind, reality exists only as infinite potentiality. Alternatively, if we were to put it in Buddhist terms, devoid of thought or mind, reality is realized to be emptiness or pure potentiality. Thanks for joining me on this enlightening journey through the worlds of Buddhism and quantum physics. Remember, the quest for knowledge knows no bounds, and the more we explore, the more we uncover the infinite mysteries that unite us all. Stay curious, stay open-minded, and keep seeking the truths that resonate with your soul. Until next time, keep pondering, keep exploring, and keep expanding your universe.